style. I think I'm gonna always blink again. So my blink scrolls don't really have a lot of use at this point outside of Vaults 5 because I'm gonna go to Zot. Well, actually I could go to Elf. Just, oddly enough, if I want I could go to L3 and just farm some extra XP, in which case, yeah, they would actually be useful. I'm not hasted. I don't really want to waste haste. What I could do is use... oh, thank you for the host, sir. What I could do is Passage of Galubria. I've got this Annihilator next to me. This is like the Lich Toad. This guy, you know about this guy probably. You probably died to one of these, but they got Crystal Spear and Iron Shot, and they hit real bad. And these are like the single most common killer on Elf 3. Oh, I always forget how that. I need to make that a default. Yeah, Iron Shot 3d28 up to 84, Crystal Spear to 102. You know, if you roll 0 AC and if it rolls max damage, it could kill you if you have about 100 HP left, which is, you know, 50%. It can kill me in one shot potentially from 50% HP. And he could hit you twice. So they're nasty guys, but I could Passage of Galubria and save a blink scroll. If he does nail me, which he very well could, if he hits me with Lightning Bolt, which is another one, at least I will resist that. And I have our Poison, that's going to take a lot. Poison Arrow also hits kind of bad, but our Poison nerfs some of the damage from that. But that still leaves 2 spells. Yeah. If you'll get wow, Schwer. He's like, get on with it. Quit with your optimal play, buddy. I'm gonna, in honor of Schwer, I will use Passage of Galubria and not my Blink Scroll because he says go big or go home. Oh, look at that! Iron Shot hits me. Well, what do you know, Schwer? What do you know? Right there, not at 20% of my HP, Schwer. Look at what you did. You did this, Schwer. It's... oh no. Don't I don't want to be paralyzed. Okay, so at this point, I can do some okay, that passage closed, didn't it? Yeah. This is a elementalist. He's not quite as bad. Although, do I have RF right now? I don't have RF, and his fireball does kind of hurt. I'm actually gonna just quickly switch over to that. Oh, look who's back! Teehee! Don't forget about me. I'm just an elf. Don't worry, I don't have Iron Shot. Yeah, right. We know what you got. Hidden under those elf robes. Not fooling anybody. Gonna go ahead and channel it up. So you can just stay with Firestorm. You can just move up into the corridor a bit and not go all the way up, so you won't get quite so much heat from the top. And then Firestorm the center. I'm going back here because there was some stuff. And this is a sort of roughly there's really less that can come out here. It's got there's a guardian in each of the sort of 4 corners. There's one at the end of the hall. We saw the one that was there, whatever that was. I forget. It was like the healer guy, Ironheart Preserver, and then so there's those. I guess 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guaranteed monster placements, and then you got whatever comes out of the vault. So I'm basically going to hang out more here towards the front. Apparently I got to snack on some McDonald's really fast. Something hits your fire vortex. Okay, so Firestorm is really good because it hits out of Los. So that's that message. You feel a bit more experienced. There we go. Hey, we just gained a bunch of piety, and now we have access to the 5-star stuff. So if I want to get fancy, I can. Honestly, Firestorm is the best answer I have to most anything at this point. I'm just gonna wait for a monster to pop into view, which is probably gonna be a Vault Guard, and just Firestorm. And I'll get those messages about feeling experience. That's why this is like the single best spell for killing stuff safely. You can shoot, especially if you have Vehement, who gives you a range increase, so you can hit even further. If your spell power is good, you're going to tend to get the higher radius explosion and kill even. That's random based on your spell power. My spell power is, as you can see, it's 2 pips off the top, so it could be better, but I'm still going to get some good explosions. Okay, yeah, we just lost our 5-star, but that's fine. Stone Giant. The other nice thing about this spell is that it throws up these fire vortices, which tend to block monsters' movement, and it tends to block projectiles. So that Stone Giant stones would likely just. Wow, did that wore off really quickly. Yeah, we got a ton of them right there. I have to be a little bit careful because my channel is certainly good, but it's like on average 3 MP per turn. I do have a potion of magic, but I don't got a ton of those. So you're just something you have to be aware. Oh, look, back up. Oh, there's a gift. Ring of Flames. Damn. I kind of want to cast that because the spell power would be cool right now. Also, it would give me some RF. More army tanks coming in. That's not. This isn't a shmup. This isn't. What is it? 1942. Boy, the duration on that channel feels really low. Look at something just. Oh wow, a melee from my Fire Vortex killed. Wow, there's really not a lot left. Usually this little session kind of lasts a little bit longer than that. Okay, well I guess there's. Okay, now we're gonna channel again. Just gotta wait because Vault Warden. But this is really easy level with Firestorm is kind of what I'm getting at. And you don't have to do anything great. Often I'll fight right from here. It just kind of depends on what happens. Monsters can just spawn. There are like level spawns that just get created throughout the level. You can get them in Los. Obviously you can get uniques. You can get something scary like Menace, Mara, or whatever. And you can get just spawns sort of randomly that happen through the corridor that you blink down, which can. Yeah, that's why I hung out more towards the front, and also this vault, as you can see right here, like it can't really come from the back. This is why this is such a nice. These switchbacks, they have to like come out, come around the corner, in which case they're getting firestormed. But to get to the back, there's only the one monster, and anything that was outside of the quad that spawned. And there very often there's nothing because there's not that many level spawns. Most of the spawns, of course, come from the quad, you know, inside the quads. And for this one, there's just a wall back there. There's a lot of pathing to get out, but they just don't have enough turns. You know what I mean? They have to wander all the way through, and they lose track of me, and they start wandering. If I stop, if I'm resting up and I'm not making noise, for instance. Also, they hear the, depending on how noise propagates, it may propagate from through this way, for instance, due to the wall attenuation. So it would be cool to see a real-time display of what monsters are actually doing. Azam has a thing like that. Magic map, hell yeah. Yeah, this guy, the guy in the corner back here, he did wake up, but I don't know what he was. He probably wandered some weird place. So now I can just... Wizard mode. Yeah, I could go into wizard mode. Oh, I guess I have Invo enabled, alright. Training 2 skills, suboptimal. Revoke my optimality license. Multiplier has really good range, and so I'm going to be also is vastly less noisy, so I don't, you know, start a fight from a really weird spot where I'm like potentially going to get assaulted from 3 different directions. Like to really control. Fireball is really, really loud though, but here in the center is like, this is my jam as far as fighting stuff. I'm happy to have monsters because there's only basically 2 directions and it's a lot easier to manage. A lot of people get confused when they do melee on this. They may do some stair dancing and then they don't know where to go, and this corridor is just a great spot. Even if you don't like the terrain inside the vault, like you've got 2 tiles. If you're going to melee stuff, you can make a summon an ally to stand next to you and you can't get surrounded. Only 2 monsters at once can melee you. Obviously different stuff can be happening with spells, but of course there's a bunch of monsters. It has to have something smite targeted to really hit you, otherwise it's going to try to cast through other monsters, and much of the time they're not going to attempt that due to the way the foe calculations work. So if you get a Titan in the back ranks, he can sit there and airstrike you, and that can be kind of bad, especially if he gets a bunch of turns to do that, but most monsters don't have smite targeted attacks. They just have normal, like, ranged spell attacks. Yeah. Yeah, you can have antennae and see some of that too if it's close enough. And yeah, you're right, you can scree with, or scry, or however you pronounce that, with Ash. By a storm around the corner, I blew up a yak tar, and then I woke up some gurgling things. Time to spit out that mouthwash gurgling thing and come and fight. They're all coming up from the top, huh? Another spell that's not terribly bad to Sif cast is actually De-Missile if you have enough piety for it. Because it can last a while. I'm gonna, alright, I'll go ahead and channel. I'm gonna Iron Shot that guy when he gets close enough. This guy over here, I'm gonna send up a... There's a bunch of stuff coming that way. I have to say. He took a shot at me, but it's okay. Not too worried about just one of those. Oh, throw your tomahawks, Mr. Clever. Often you can just kind of back off a bit and rest, and stuff has a hard time like just getting to you once it can't see you. Even if you've been making tons of noise, it takes a while for stuff to get over to you, so you have time to rest up a bunch. Maybe not to full, but it's all you need. Fire Giant with his fireballs, and I have no RF unless I wield the staff. So I'm actually going to... It's expensive. I'm going to Firestorm this guy. Oh, he got me. It shows you how bad... I have to really be careful because he's going to hit. What is my... Oh, I haven't really trained anything, so yeah. Yeah, we need to get rid of like the really trash works in vaults. It's funny, but it's not. It's like they just don't do anything. So no real spell Sif casting, because again with Firestorm, at this point I'm gonna be saving that for something like casting Shatter. I could certainly Shatter like into one of these vaults if I wanted to, but I can't. If you have Shatter and can just cast it, you can just sit in the center and sort of cast Shatter over and over again to a large degree. Eventually you run into stuff that's flying that is hard to shatter, and it can become quite unsafe. So you can't, oof. Yeah. We gotta, yep, oh, that's okay, he took one shot. And we got the Stone Giant. Oh, Timons. I'll finish him off with Iron Shot. Oh, it's unfortunate. I'll put on Staff of Fire and Iron Shot you. Yeah, warriors like yeah, there's Orc Knights. Even Orc Knights are just, they're just like thematic. It's like, here's some trash to throw stuff in. Good old Sword in the Stone. Legendary Spectrina. I love telling that story. People who haven't heard it. She has still played Crawl. I saw her playing a while ago, so I know she still plays Crawl from time to time. Wonder if she's encountered the Sword in the Stone Vault again and has... Look at that. Wow. That was this month. Wow, Spectrina. Oh, she's probably doing speed runs. She was doing crazy speed runs. Going for high score. Dying to a Hobgoblin? Wow. That wouldn't happen to me. Not with my 19 streak. Infinite wins. Firestorm for good measure. Probably only the one dragon. Is this a pure... Oh, look who it is! It's the Spice Rack himself. Is this a pure caster? It is a pure caster. A fisherman. Always be casting is my motto. I did not even bother training staves. Legendary Spice Rack is actually I guess you would say he's a retired Crawl dev and famous Crawl player at that. The Fisher King. The Fisher Price King. I'm sorry for your loss. Basil likes explosions. I don't think we've added any explosions to Crawl recently. Maybe we have. I want to... Oh, actually, Basil, my next plan after Sif is to rework HuWz. I don't really have great ideas for it specific, but it's a tough project because... Holy crap, that god. I sort of vaguely have the idea that HuWz might get some very limited form of, like, you know, digging / wall breaking, because that could be fun in limited forms. We've obviously been removing, you know, we removed it from LRD. Wand of Digging is nerfed. Of course, a long time ago, Dig Spell was removed. Biggest thing is probably the LRD change recently, but very limited forms of that could be fun, and also sort of fitting with the Earth theme. Yeah, Fedos is just, there's relatively few people who enjoy that playstyle. But the tricky part with a god like that, where it's got really tons of flavor and some kind of cool active abilities, is how do you retain some of the spirit of that? Find the really fun parts and then add something interesting that's new. So it's a very broad starting point. I mean, I'm of the opinion that the god never had a good design. It was sort of conceived of. Oh yeah, yeah, that was a Hellmonk suggestion, which for balance reasons was, I mean, Fedos was particularly crazy with the 1 star. But I think in a rework, I'm not sure exactly how shrooms were just the craziest thing, and I'm not sure if that, you know, the way shrooms work is really weird. It's kind of cool, some of the tactical stuff that comes from it, but it's also just quite bizarre, and I think a lot of people don't particularly enjoy the overall experience of that. But some of that experience is neat. That's why I say Fedos rework is a tricky one. You really have to kind of like try to not toss out maybe too much. I mean, you can of course just toss out a lot. There's all sorts of valid ways as long as you arrive at something fun, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of the Biog problem. Like, hey, it's kind of cool when you have an army of, you know, 8 warlords, because it's sort of fun walking around with me and the boys. But oh, sour, please. Sour, please. Yeah, the god was sort of conceived of as one to support ranged playstyle, which I mean, I think it was still really mostly themed, but that was sort of the design idea that the god had behind it, which ranged in this game is just really, really strong and quite frankly doesn't need a lot of support beyond give ammo. But they were sort of kind of going for like, what if you didn't give ammo and you gave these abilities that kind of help, but they just made a pretty overpowered god that is pretty micromanagey and that most people don't enjoy too much. Supporting a ranged playstyle is not a thing that I would go for with the rework. Not that I would necessarily go out of my way to make it anti-ranged. Yeah, it has specifically stuff to allow you to use ranged attacks through the allies that it grants. Yep, that's already, you know, you can target through plants. So that was one of the, yeah. Ranged combat in this game, man. But that's another gripe. The +3 flail of deflation. Whoa. Oh, I fireballed the battle sphere. It's not really what I wanted. Yeah, the idea of like, you know, terrain kind of changing up terrain and making it suit you, that's a compelling thing, and kind of dovetails with the idea of like, you know, maybe digging or wall breaking, if you will. Miscast. Or what? Oh, did I cancel? That's weird. Oh, that's what it was. Okay. I was very confused. Yes. I will. My orc skeleton and I may have to part ways. Our friendship won't last this firestorm, I'm afraid. Damn. Those delicious chunks. Rip. Yeah, getting down some of the... What's fun isn't good, what's good isn't fun. Removing some of the kiting aspect of it, or the luring I should say. I mean, Oclobs are kind of fun because they're so strong, and the idea of having like a stationary ally that has this incredible firepower but limited movement is neat. It's just, you know, since they're permanent, you can just lure stuff over to it. Maybe they just need to be more conventional kinds of summons that aren't permanent. But it really takes some sitting down and thinking about all the different stuff and what you might want to just outright remove, what you might want to rework, what you might want to add. The Sif reform, I already had a basic plan, although coming up with the active was a bit of a thing, but I think the one I came up with was pretty good. Oddly enough, it came about thinking about miscast protection, and I was like, how could you do that in a different way? And the ability, probably somebody else has proposed what I implemented before, because in most cases somebody else has thought about it, but I hadn't seen that proposal. But I was just thinking about miscast protection. I was like, could you just make that an active thing, making it do what people actually want to do, as opposed to something that it is now, which is kind of fiddly and hard to reason about. So some of Fedos's stuff could potentially go that same route, but not all of it. Quicksilver Dragon. Oh, he ducked around the corner. That was their AI to like avoid. Yeah, HuWz is definitely a love it or hate it type of thing. I don't really love what HuWz does to the game overall. On top of being a god that's like makes the game harder the moment you start worshipping. I think there's a oh, maybe not, because I magic mapped. No, this is just the prize. Oh, the heavy breathing. You gotta go. I can't believe I never removed this. Putting samples in your remix of Samus breathing. Necromutation. Hell yes. Time to 15 rune. We still didn't make it back up to 5 stars. I mean, I use channel a lot, but one of the things I had been thinking about was moving this ability to 4 stars, just keeping the high cost. At least it wouldn't give you more shots to use it. But that could be a problem too, because you can use this thing quite a few times in a row. It gets really, really strong. I think there's other 4-star abilities that cost that order though. Lucy's like Gate to the Abyss is like 28. It's really, really high. That's a 5-star of course, but I don't know what Corrupt costs.